You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network.
Hey Ramblers, today's episode is brought to you by Fangoria. Since 1979, Fangoria has been the authority in the world of contemporary horror. As the only sanctuary for horror aficionados in its early days, it has now grown into an empire that expands beyond its celebrated magazine. From t-shirts, coffee mugs, beanies, enamel pins, there's something for every horror fanatic in your world, even if it's you. So head on over to shop.fangoria.com/pencil and paper productions or use code pencil and paper productions at checkout to get 20% off your first order or magazine subscription. Yes, it is a mouthful, which is why there are links in the show notes down below. That's shop.fangoria.com/pencil and paper productions or code pencil and paper productions at checkout for 20% off. Fangoria, first in fright since 1979.
Buy it or we'll tear your soul apart.
You're listening to the Horror Ramblings podcast, the show about all things horror. We hope you enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the Horror Ramblings podcast, your source for all things horror. I gotta say, I've been noticing, at least on the Facebook page, I still need to log on and check our listens, but I've been noticing a lot more views on the Facebook page. And that's cool. I like that. I like that people are still picking up on the show. I'm sure there's some bored people that are like, I'll see what this is. And in all honesty, if this is where you've decided to jump into the show and you want to go back and listen, if you don't like a particular episode that you're listening to, just skip to the next one, because there's all kinds of content. Like, we talk about random things all the time. So it's not going to hurt my feelings if you decide to jump around a little bit, because everybody has their kinks. They have their things that they like. So we've been on break for a little while. Some things didn't work. It seems like things don't always work out with our last episode that we do when we go on break. There always seems to be an issue. It's normally my fault. I'll take the blame for that. It's normally my fault. So, but how you doing, Steven? You're looking well. You got this glow to you today. You I know you said you were a little tired, but you're looking well. How are you?
I feel I just didn't want to get out of bed, but I'm here, and I don't know what the glow is, but I don't know. I'm tired. I can't help it.
Oh, man, it's I'm starting to get that fall itch, because we went to Spirit. A Spirit opened up in Lima, Ohio, for anybody out there who is trying to guess where we're at. I live in Ohio, people, and I live about 40 minutes or so from Lima. So we made a day of it, and we went to Spirit. And I gotta say, they had a lot of stuff out there. I was surprised by how much they actually had on the shelves. They had some cool stuff, but Spirit's one of those places that I feel like they've leaned more toward the collectible aspect. Like, you can find all kinds of little like decorations and little collectible things. The costumes, I feel they've got good costumes, but I feel like the variety's kind of gone down a little bit. And I know a lot of that has to do with popularity, but
Sure.
I'm very impressed with like Home Depot and Party City and Lowe's and all them. They are stepping up their game. They've got some really cool animatronics and things. I've seen a few Art the Clown animatronics that are really cool. There's a Chucky one. I can't remember. I think it might be Party City or maybe Home Depot that has the Chucky. He's like $200, okay. And he's regular Chucky size. The only complaint that I've heard is the face doesn't look exactly like it, but there's been so many variations of Chucky. I feel like I feel like this one is sort of a combination of the original Chucky and then the Chucky from the remake. I feel like it's sort of a combination of the two.
I got you.
But from what I saw of it, it was pretty damn cool. So I'm not gonna, not gonna complain. But I'm ready for the fall, and I hate to say it, but part of my basic white bitch is coming out, and I'm like, ooh, we're gonna have pumpkin spice and apple stuff. I'm cool with that.
No, I'm with you. I've already started seeing some of the stuff crop up in stores, and I'm just like, not yet. We're getting there, not yet. I want it, but I don't want to jump into it too soon.
I want to get a new. I want to get a new fire pit, and I just want to sit out, have a. There's nothing better to me than a fire in the fall with some hot apple cider and maybe some maybe some cookies or something. I've never had them, but they have apple cider cookies.
Mm-hmm.
Scratch that. I have had apple cider cookies, but I hear if they're homemade, they're so much better. So
no doubt.
Yeah, I've got a lot of plans for the fall this year. I'm hoping to go a little out this year for Halloween and stuff, just because we're hoping by next year to be moved. And if we move, we're not going to be able to do trick or treat and stuff because we'll probably live out in the country. And I'm going to miss that. I'll put on a bitchin' Halloween party every year and just call it a day. Speaking of parties, but I know both of our kids just had birthdays. We're doing my son's birthday tomorrow. For you people listening out there, that's all you need to know. Tomorrow, which will be like a week ago from when you're listening to this, give or take a few days. But we asked him what he wanted for his theme this year. He wants a horror themed birthday party. And I'm going to dress up as Freddy and probably scare all his little friends. But a good buddy of mine who you've met, Bill, at the convention, he's going to, I guess him and his wife are going to come to the party. And I didn't ask him to come to the party and put on a show. I just asked him to, come and just enjoy the party. But I can hear him doing his Freddy voice to me and going, "Who are you, you bitch? You're a poser," or something along those lines. I can hear it in my head, and I'm excited for it because he's phenomenal. But anything new with you before we jump into the show? Anything new you want to kind of share? Or any frustrations you want to just put out there, or anything at all?
I'm sure that there are frustrations abound, but nothing is coming to mind at this moment. Trying to think. I've been trying to catch up on a few movies here and there.
Yeah.
As far as I know, I've been trying to catch up on some last drive-in stuff that I've missed, like the Carnival of Souls. I saw that was one of their last movies, and I think there was another one after that, which I don't want to say too much, but after seeing what the movie was that they showed last, and I'm saying last from the time that we're recording, which would have been, I think, it was a movie that had, Christ, what are their names? Colleen Camp and another hot blonde at the time. And it was some shit. I can't remember. Doesn't matter. Whatever it was, I wanted to check it out because it seemed like it would be fun. But like I said, catching up on some older episodes. And I happened to notice, too, because I know we were talking about this not that long ago and how I had it in my head, but I saw that The Faces of Death was on Shudder. So I thought about maybe just taking a peek while it's, because I've always been kind of hesitant, but it's also never been readily available. There it is. I might pull the trigger, give it a watch.
The good thing about it being on there is you're not out any money or anything, and if you decide you're not interested, it's just as easy as hitting the back button.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I might feel around and give it a watch. Yeah, I think I'm going to try that at some point. As far as any other things, I feel like I've watched quite a few horror films in the last few weeks. There was one that was really, really, what was it? I know we watched Abigail, but that's not the one I'm thinking of. There was another one that I felt like I just kind of turned on just to see, I guess for my own purpose of watching, and then before I knew it, Katrina was into it more than I was. Still good,
Yeah.
but she was like really, really into it, and goddamn, I can't remember what it was.
You've got me beat. We took our break, and I've been so just all over the place lately. I got to half-assedly watch Abigail. Like, I didn't really get to fully give it my attention like I wanted to. And one thing that I do want to talk about today, which it's not horror related, but I'm got a way to kind of spin it in the horror direction. I finally, for the first time in a long time, went to the movie theater. The missus and I went and seen Deadpool Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really bummed I didn't get a cool popcorn bucket. I really wanted one, but they didn't have them. But I saw an interesting article because of Wolverine. Because of Deadpool and Wolverine. Disney is realizing that it can release more adult content, and it's not going to hurt the studio. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a very good thing. And the reason I say that is because there are a lot of Marvel stories that I feel border on the horror aspect of things. And I think that we could get a few one-offs, and I think it would be epic. And I'm going to say this, and this is a hot take. I think Wesley Snipes needs to come back as Blade again. Just going to say it.
I know that's a consensus going around right now.
I like Wesley Snipes. I do. And I know he went away for, I think it was like tax evasion or something. So he was out of the game for a long time, but I liked his cameo in the movie.
Sure, yeah.
I still hope that, I know Magneto got killed in the movie off screen, but I've heard Ian McKellen say that he would return to the character, especially if...
And they never said which Magneto.
Yeah. And, well, and I guess he even said something along the lines of, what is her name who plays Scarlet Witch?
Wanda, Elizabeth Olsen.
Yes. Elizabeth Olsen talked about him and how it would be so cool if he came like as a variant who was, because Magneto was her father in the comics and whatnot.
Because he's old enough to be her granddad.
Yeah.
At this point.
But it would be really cool to see him see a variant step out and see Scarlet Witch. Like, I'd be cool with that. I'd be completely fine. And yeah, he's like 85 and still going strong. He even said he would play, if they ever wanted him to play Gandalf again, he said he'd do it till he couldn't anymore. And I'm like, well, props to you for that one, man. Like, seriously. And Hugh Jackman. Yeah. I'm just, I want to see him in a horror movie too. Like, but I want him to bring that Wolverine energy that he had in this movie to a horror villain, even a horror villain. I think that would be epic. Just.
Oh yeah.
And we were in the audience. We were, we had a pretty big audience when we went to see it. And spoiler warning to all you people out there who haven't seen it. When his outfit blows off and you see all of his abs, I don't think Samantha heard it, but I heard some guy back a few seats go, "Holy shit!" And I'm like, "We're all thinking it, man. We're all thinking it." I don't care if you're straight. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you're pansexual, bisexual, any of that. shirtless Hugh Jackman and Deadpool and Wolverine. That was a moment. That was a moment for everybody, where everybody was just like, "Holy shit!" I'm pretty sure I grabbed my stomach at one point and was like, "It's not fair. It's just not fair." But no, I'm glad I got to see it, and I'm even more excited for Beetlejuice now because they showed a trailer for it, and seeing it on the big screen. I think that is one thing where I think theaters still have a lot of magic. You feel a certain way when you see something, on your phone or on your TV, but when you see something on a screen that's, on a huge giant movie screen, it just gives you a whole different feeling. I think they've kept Beetlejuice true to what it originally was. Like, I feel like he's still the same Beetlejuice, but he has adjusted to the times. It's like at the end of the trailer when he sucks everybody into their own cell phones. It's still something that you would expect from Beetlejuice, even though, these movies are 30 years apart?
Something like that, yeah.
It's insane, but yeah, I'm just so excited. Oh, and while I'm thinking about it, I've seen some more stuff about Alien Romulus, and I am excited as hell for this movie.
It's looking good.
Like, the use of practical effects is wonderful, and I know there's a lot of practical effects in this movie. It's a perfect marriage, I think, of the CGI and the practical, like we've always talked about. That works really well together. But I think they're taking it back to the more body horror element, because I feel like Alien wasn't just a creature feature to me. Alien had a little bit of body horror in it, just because of you're being violated by these creatures in all kinds of ways. And it was funny. I was watching the trailer, for Deadpool while we were watching Deadpool and Wolverine. That was one of the trailers, and Samantha turns to me and she's like, "What the hell is this?" And I was like, "It's Alien." She was like Alien versus Predator aliens? I'm like, "Yeah. This is kind of like, it's a standalone movie." And she's watching and she sees the face huggers and she's just like, "Ugh." And then they show the part where the girl pulls the face hugger, and its little, whatever you want to call it, that goes down in your mouth comes out, and she's like, like, that's the whole point. It's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. Of course, I'm laughing my ass off because I'm cynical, but yeah, I
love that her reference to aliens is Alien versus Predator.
Yeah. It shows the difference in how she and I have seen movies.
Sure, yeah.
I will say, though, every time I see a chest burster, I instantly think of Spaceballs. Like, it could be the most vicious, graphic scene where it's bursting out of somebody's chest, and I'm just waiting for it to do a little show tune and run off. But yeah, Alien versus Predator, that was her reference. I'm like, well, I guess at least you you have the reference. You know what we're talking about. I guess at least.
Yeah.
But
could be worse. Yeah. There could be worse.
They even have a cool popcorn bucket for Romulus. It's an alien head, and
I feel like I saw that. Yeah.
And everybody says it has a little Easter egg because it has a little handle where you can hold it a certain way, and it's kind of, when you're holding it, it's sort of in the same vein as in Alien versus Predator, when the Predator gives the girl the alien head to use as a shield.
Mm-hmm.
When you hold the popcorn bucket, it kind of has the same effect.
Gotcha.
I don't know if that was on purpose, but still pretty cool. But
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel horrible though. I have not been keeping up with like watching horror movies here lately. I've been watching a few things in regards to a future episode that we're doing. But other than that, I've not really been watching a whole lot. I sort of revisited. I didn't revisit Terrifier and Terrifier 2, but I revisited the short films because I had seen an article. I'd seen an article, and actually, I looked at it. I looked up a few things. The original guy that played Art, he did a podcast, and he was talking about he was there since the creation of Art the Clown. Like and then he played him in the first films, and the reason that he didn't do it in the feature-length film, in the first Terrifier film, was because he hated the prosthetic. Like, it just wasn't for him. And Damien Leone likes to film in, like, December. So he likes to film when it's cold out. And Art's outfit's not that thick. So
sure, yeah.
he wasn't that interested in coming back to do it. And he has no hard feelings or anything. He's not even mad about it. He's like, I turned it down. He's like, they asked me about it, and I turned it down just because I just didn't, like, I had no interest in that at that time. And a lot of people don't understand how much actors and actresses go through to play the roles. It's just like Robert Englund, and here I go talking about Freddy. Do your shots. When they did the original Nightmare on Elm Street film, he was in the makeup chair, for hours, and he had really bad reactions to the adhesives and stuff that they used. So they actually used to have people that worked in the production department follow him, because at the end of the day, he just got to the point where he didn't care anymore, and he would just be ripping off the mask, like piece by piece, just throwing it on the floor while he was getting ready to leave. I mean, now they can do bigger pieces, and it doesn't take quite as long, but it's a big process.
Sure, yeah.
And people don't think about that stuff, but we'll have to put that on the calendar too, because the new Terrifier's coming out, and I guess they took some notes. They knew that they knew that they did a lot in the second film, and there was a lot to process with that. Yeah. So I guess they're kind of backing away from that just a little bit. They're still gonna explain, like, some of the mythos and stuff to Art and everything, which is good. I think they should, but they're gonna get kind of back to the things that made the original film appealing as well. I think it's interesting that the woman who, like, gives birth to him brings him back at the end of the second movie. The lady that was, like, one of his first victims that he let live. Looks like she's going to be a real big part of this movie, this third one. The only thing that kind of bothered me in the trailer is I didn't see the little girl. The little clown girl.
I didn't either.
And I hope that wasn't just like a one-off. I hope that they, keep her in it. I hope she shows up in it again, because it would just be really weird to me if she didn't. So
yeah, and it would kind of raise some questions. Like,
yeah.
Okay, where did that character go? So hopefully he'll address it.
Yeah, and I think they'll, it's Christmas time. He's posing as Santa. There's going to be a lot of kids, I'm sure, in this movie. I hope he's not just, I hope he's not just running around killing, like, little kids in it. I hope it's not that kind of film. I'm sure that there's going to be at least one child that gets killed in the film. And I mean, even in the original All Hallows Eve, there's 2 kids in that get killed. So it's not like it's new territory, but just don't overdo it. Make it mean something. Sure. Make it, make it be something a little bit bigger. But I'm excited for it. I think Leone's creative. I think he's a pretty good director, and I mean, he's created let's be honest, he's created an icon. Art has become an icon.
Sure, yeah.
And David Howard Thornton, I think, is his name, that plays Art. super nice guy. First off, like super nice. If you get the chance to meet him because he's wonderful. But just he gets into character and he goes all in, and I'll give the guy props. I'd like to see him do some films where he can, actually talk, because I feel like in most of the films that he's in, he's like that silent killer. He was even in the Mean one. And he didn't talk at all.
Yeah.
So it's like, come on, like, give him some talking roles. I want to hear what this guy sounds like. I want to see if he's got the chops, because people have even talked about him taking on the mantle of Freddy. And
maybe
if I could hear him talk, and if he could get his own version down, I think I'd be okay with that.
I'd like to see a makeup test.
Yeah. And that's the bad thing about anybody that plays Freddy. It's like, do we make him look like Robert? Do we make him look different? I think he has to sort of be that balance. Like, he can't look too different because it'll turn people away, but he can't look exactly the same either, because it's going to cause problems. People are going to be like, we miss Robert. So.
Yeah. But if you get the right actor who can put their own stamp on it,
yeah,
I think people would allow it to just pass, and they'd be like, yeah.
Well, and it's just like that Dylan's New Nightmare, that fan film. I thought the guy that played Freddy in that did a pretty decent job. Like, I'll give him props. I thought he was pretty good.
Wasn't bad.
But some characters, some characters just have actors that are synonymous with them, and this is one of those. It's like, how do I put it? Here's a perfect example, kind of bring everything back. Robert Englund is to Freddy what Hugh Jackman is to Wolverine. That's really, Disney just needs to get Nightmare on Elm Street, and then they can make Robert Englund do it till he's 90.
Yeah. See how that works.
Oh, and I feel like I need to say this. This is kind of a downer thing, but it's also kind of sweet. At the end of Deadpool, when they're running the credits, there's a thing that says "For Henry" in one part of it. I can't think. I'm terrible with names, but the guy that's friends with Deadpool, who was part of X-Force, the guy with the mustache.
Peter.
Or Bruce, or I feel like his name's Bruce.
Peter.
Maybe it is Peter. But anyways, the actor that played
Sugar Bear.
you know who I'm talking about. So that guy, he had a son named Henry, and his son ended up getting. He had like brain cancer. He had a brain tumor. He died. He was only like 2 years old. He died back in 2018, and like. The actor, he's like a comedian and everything else. He worked through it. He wrote a book. But I guess they surprised him with that, because they always thought because Henry always thought his dad was a hero too. And so Ryan Reynolds, just being like one of the nicest human beings I think you're ever going to meet, probably, was like, let's dedicate, let's have a dedication to him in the movie. So I thought that was something kind of sweet. I know that's not really on par with what we normally talk about, but it was just something kind of cool that I thought, you learn something new every day, and I was like really taken aback by it. But
sure, yeah.
just one of those things. But man, only other thing I wanted to say real quick. Did you see they're making In a Violent Nature 2?
I did. Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about
Still
it?
got to watch the first one, though.
How do you feel about that, though? I mean, even just in general, like not watching the first one, but like...
I literally think I'm going to have to wait until I see the first one.
Yeah.
Because I have nothing to base it on. I'm assuming that the way it ends is enough leeway that I guess whoever our killer is still on the loose. Therefore, we can do a sequel, so that kind of gives me some understanding of how it ends, maybe.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that can be misleading. So I don't know. I think I want to wait and have an opinion once I see. Because again, I've heard so many mixed opinions on the movie that I feel like it's going to be one of those that you love it or you hate it, and I want to try to get my own opinion set on it.
Right. My biggest thing is I hope that they're not just trying to do like a cash grab.
Cash grab.
Yeah. You know, like, oh, the first one did really well. Let's make another 5 of them. You know, it's just
which it's always a problem.
Yeah, I'm just, I don't know, I'm just one of those people. I feel like they take things and they run them into the ground like, oh, we can make more money off of this. Let's just keep making more and more and more.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Terrible. But so what all horror movies have you watched since we've been on break? Is there anything like that you were like super excited about? Anything that kind of like shocked you because it was good?
I'm trying to remember because I know that there were, I won't say it was like a bevy of them, but I was trying to, tap into a few here and there. See if I can find anything that would help jog my memory at all. But like I said, Abigail, I know was one of them.
Really want to know.
I know I watched Thanksgiving finally.
How was Thanksgiving?
Which I really would like to talk about it here on the show, like around Thanksgiving time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to keep my opinion on that locked away.
Okay.
Until then.
What is that? What is that on?
Netflix. You can find it on Netflix.
That's
for sure.
Right. I can watch it then. I haven't.
Death Game was the name of that other movie that I was trying to think of on the last drive-in.
Okay.
Death Spa and Graduation Day. Those were 2 others that they showed this year, which I didn't feel like I had seen before. I know that Graduation Day was one of those that I'd always wanted to watch because it was in that era of slashers where everybody was just trying to come up with a slasher movie.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else? I know there was something else. I just... somewhere in the back of my head, I cannot for the life of me remember.
I really want to know. I really want to know what this movie was that you watched with Trina. That's what I want to know.
That's what I'm trying to remember. That's really just bugging the shit out of me because I can't remember. I can't remember if it was an older movie or a newer movie because I feel like it was something that I had been wanting to watch, and I just said, fuck it, I'm turning it on, and I'm going to watch it. If she doesn't like it, she'll probably just keep her face in her phone, and she won't pay attention to it anyway, so screw it. I'm going to watch this movie. And I can't remember what it is.
It'll come to you at the most random moment.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I was just trying to catch up on things here and there if I could. And, of course, just whatever random TV shows that we might watch here and there. I don't feel like anything was horror related. There haven't really been that many good ones, horror TV shows, in a while.
Yeah, that's true.
At least none that come to mind. I don't know. I got nothing.
Now, I feel like there's been I've seen some advertisements for some horror things, but it's like there's a calm before the storm almost. I'm wondering if they're just going to try to pump out a bunch of stuff closer to Halloween, maybe. I'm not sure.
I mean, we're coming up on that time of year, so it's not far-fetched.
Let me do a quick Google search here, see upcoming horror films. One of my kids likes to say horror, but they don't get the other "or" out, so we watch a lot of horror films.
Horror. About as country as it gets.
We're working with here. There's from what I'm seeing here, there's really not a lot coming out this year. It looks like. Stream. I had seen trailers for that. I don't know how I feel about that movie. They're making
it feels like one of those that's trying to tap into something on the pulse right now. I feel like we've seen so many of those over the years where some new popular fad comes around and then they're like, well, hey, we need to turn this into a horror movie and, try to spin the situation. One of those movies.
Yeah. We're getting another Dracula, 2025. There's really, it's terrible, but there's not really anything that I'm, feeling all that confident about right now. They're apparently wanting to do a 28 years later. Have you heard about that?
I have. I've been hearing a lot of casting about it. I guess I don't even remember watching the last one, so I'd have to refresh myself on the entire franchise.
Because it was 20...
I vaguely remember it.
It was 28 days later, then it was, 28 weeks later?
Mm-hmm.
We're skipping months. We're going right to years. And apparently this guy wants this to be more of a... From what I had heard originally, the guy wanted it to be more of a drama about how society's recovered after everything. And I'm like, you're jumping way out into left field. Or you're trying to create something out of nothing. Are you going to show flashbacks? Are you going to show certain people who survived this stuff as kids? That would be kind of cool. I would love to see. Ooh, there we go. Why not even? Why do a movie? Why do a movie? You could do a limited special. Call it 28 years later. You could follow different people who survived, and you could tell different. It could be like an anthology type deal. You could have different stories every week, and it could be different people explaining to the younger generation how they survived. That would be kind of cool.
Sure. I just remember the movie.
Oh, what is it? What is it?
It was Dark Night of the Scarecrow.
Oh,
it was one that I'd always been wanting to
yes.
watch. And she started watching it, and I think it was recognizing certain faces, and then, of course, obviously what the story was about, killing or the murder of an innocent man and all that. And, of course, that just got her dander up, and she was like, no, fuck all these people. Yeah, get him, Ghost. Yeah. She was all on the revenge train.
That's a phenomenal movie, and I'm pretty sure that was a made-for-TV movie, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
What year did that come out? Do you know?
Feel like 78, 79. That's a ballpark guess, I think.
I feel like made-for-TV movies from about the mid-70s up until about, I'd say, the mid-90s, there were so many just amazing made-for-TV movies.
81, sorry.
That's still fairly close.
Close enough.
It feels like there were so many phenomenal movies that were made for TV. I remember seeing all kinds of just random movies. I even think, I don't think it ever came out in the theaters. There's a movie called Cabin by the Lake. I've talked about it before. I think we've even talked about it with John, because one of the actors in it, he likes fairly well. I think that might have been a made for TV movie, but it's fantastic. I remember being a kid and going to Family Video or Blockbuster, and my uncle would be like, well, let's get these movies because they were cheaper. And a lot of them were made for TV or straight to DVD movies. And we'd get them. And I remember we watched one about Ed Gein. I'm pretty sure that's what it was called, was Ed Gein.
Mm-hmm.
Fucked up movie. Just completely fucked up. And it was a straight to DVD. And the guy that played Ed Gein, he looked just like Ed Gein. I'm pretty sure we've talked about that movie too.
Yeah, we've talked about that one.
I
remember seeing it, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, I even think there's a scene where he goes out in the middle of the night and he's wearing pieces of people's skin and he's banging on pans and he's doing crazy shit out. And you're sitting there and you're like, this is really fucking disturbing. That movie was never in the theater, I can tell you that right now.
That's true.
But Jesus. Now you got me thinking about like old made-for-TV movies. This is what I love about when we first come back. We just kind of shoot the shit and talk about random stuff. Let's see. Made-for-TV horror movies. I'm going to look it up. See what we got here.
I will say that being a made-for-TV movie at that point in time, I was a little surprised by the level of violence. I won't say that it was like super graphic, but even for what they showed, I was surprised. I was like, oh, okay.
Especially when you think about the time that it was released and everything. Like that's that's a big thing. And I do remember, and it's funny because I'm on IMDb right now, and I looked up the best made-for-TV horror films. Dark Knight of the Scarecrow is number 1 on the list. And I could agree with that because I feel like that is a fantastic film. Let's see what we got here. There's a movie called Duel. Came out in 1971.
Solid. Mm-hmm. I love that movie.
We've got Ghost Watch. Came out in 1992. I'm going to look at this one just real quick here. In a live broadcast on Halloween night, a BBC team investigate a reported poltergeist in an ordinary London home. I have heard of this film. I've never seen it, though. You've got Michael Parkinson, Sarah Green, Mike Smith. These are very common names. I've heard of it, but I've never seen it. Salem's Lot TV miniseries.
Yeah.
It was 2 episodes. That was 79.
I was honestly surprised that wasn't at the top of the list. That's what I was expecting.
I was going to say, yeah.
I feel like I hear people talk about Salem's Lot more than I do Dark Knight of the Scarecrow.
You know, it's funny. I've seen more clips of Dark Knight of the Scarecrow on TikTok than, like, in the last year. I think I've seen more clips of that movie on TikTok than I've ever heard people talk about it. So it's like some of these old, and it's not even that old of a movie, but some of these older movies, they're like getting this resurgence. And I'm all for it because it really is. It's people think just because a movie's made for TV that it's automatically less than, and that's not the case most times. When you have a smaller budget, you really focus on other things more, and I think it pays off differently.
Sure, yeah.
What else we got here? The Vampire, but it's spelled Vampyr, a soap opera. TV movie.
Oh, pass.
1984. It says Season 5, Episode 50, BBC Sunday Night Theatre. I'm not sure on that one. And then we get into some, like, really weird stuff. I don't know how far this list goes down. I'll do the top 10 here real quick. Schalken, the Painter. 1979.
Falcon?
Schalcken.
All right.
Not ringing a bell. Oh my. Can Shacklin save his love Rose from the clutches of a ghastly suitor before it is too late? Dun dun dun. Jeremy Clyde. He looks familiar. I'm just looking up random things on here. The Day of the Triffids, a TV miniseries, 1981 through why would you even have that? 1981 through 1981. Interesting take. I will read this to you real quick. When a comet blinds nearly everyone in the world, a genetically engineered species of plant.
All right then.
Never heard of it.
I feel like I've heard of that, but I've never seen it. But the name rings a bell.
In this movie, Samarans Tolv Manadir? I probably said that all wrong because it's a foreign film and I am not good at this thing. 2 construction workers are offered an unusual contract, great pay, but they don't know where they're going or what they're supposed to build. They are brought to a place with 12 months of summer.
Okay.
Some of these guys look. Hans Mosesen? Man, these people look familiar, but I'm like, And then number 10 on the list is Frankenstein, The True Story. A movie from 1973. And that is, wow.
Frankenstein, The True Story.
It's a 3-hour and 5-minute movie. When the brilliant but unorthodox scientist Dr. Victor Frankenstein rejects the artificial man that he has created, the creature escapes and later swears revenge. Okay, I could get behind this. You've got Leonard Whiting as Dr. Frankenstein. He kind of looks like an older version of Bill Hader. It's kind of funny. And then I don't understand this because I feel like these would be a little higher. So there's a movie from 2000 called They Nest, which I've heard of.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I don't understand why it's not higher on the list. Trilogy of Terror is number 12. Like, that's surprising to me. I feel like that should be higher up on the list.
You'd think so, but I think it's still too obscure. I think it's something that has just fallen by the wayside.
That could be.
People don't think about.
I think of that little evil...
Tiki...
Yeah, the little tiki guy. I always think of him. And Body Bags is number 13. Which, again, that's really surprising to me. Like, I love Body Bags. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah. And
it's just... I mean, even the cast, you've got such a crazy cast in it. I even think, isn't Mark Hamill in that? Yeah. He's a baseball player. He's a baseball player who loses an eye in an accident, and they give him a new eye, but the eye was from a killer. So then he sees everything that the killer sees, and he goes nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And then John Carpenter's your host, who you think is a doctor until the end when he gets in the body bag and they start dissecting him and everything. Then you've got like Sam Raimi and all them as well. And it had a really good cast.
Yeah.
It was a fun little
Pretty solid.
It was a fun little anthology. I mean, it wasn't anything. It's one of those things, if you're bored, you can watch it in the background and you can look up and you can have a laugh about it. But
yeah.
All these obscure movies that I don't understand who's reviewing this shit. God. Sorry, I'm getting lost in the list now, apparently. Oh God. Did you ever watch God, I can't think of the movie. Did you watch Under Paris? Did we?
Yeah, it was we talked about wanting to watch it, but I still haven't pulled the trigger on it.
I gotcha. That was just one of those ones. I don't know why that came to my mind. I didn't come in here with a plan today, so sorry if this is a little lackluster today.
I mean, I can toss out some news stories. I'm sure there's plenty of news that we've missed for the last few weeks.
Yeah, by all means.
Touch on.
Yeah, by all means.
Well, I saw this headline and it made me chuckle because... Let me just read it to you. Because for the first time, it seems, or at least this is the way it almost sounds, Nev Campbell has assured fans that Scream 7 will focus on Sidney Prescott's story. As if it hasn't happened 4 times previously. So, in case you were worried, it's going to be her story. So, there you go. Yeah, I'm being a little cocky about it because I'm still pissed that we're not getting the trilogy we were supposed to be getting the other 2 actresses we were supposed to be having.
It's the same recycled bullshit. And because in one of the last movies, didn't they say that she had kids and everything else? She had a family.
Yeah.
Okay,
so you're gonna have to rope that shit in now.
So unless her kids turn out to be the killers, or her husband's the killer, and she finally gets it, I'm so over it. Like, ugh. I'm with you.
I don't know what
they should have given us the trilogy. They should have just given us the trilogy that everybody wanted. They had a solid cast and everything else.
We can't say things that may or may not piss people off, even though it sounded like a very reasonable comment. What do I know? What else? Oh, I didn't watch this trailer, and I meant to, and I'm pissed that I forgot to, but there's some new Apple TV series coming out called Before that's a supernatural thriller starring Billy Crystal, of all people. Blowing my mind, just that combination of things together. So I'm going to have to check this out because
what is with
Billy Crystal and supernatural thriller just didn't...
Yeah. Like, not what I would expect. Like, is there going to be any hint of comedy in this? Because...
I mean, just from what I was reading about it, doesn't look like it, so...
That's insane.
Yeah, bizarre.
Some actors, though, that's what they do. They decide they want to change it up a little bit, be a little more serious.
What else? We got a Squid Game premiere date, which I'm looking forward to. Squid Game Season 2 comes out in December, and I guess we're getting the final season sometime next year as well, so I guess we won't have to wait too much longer for that.
I appreciate when they do that, when they know that they can't just keep it running. So they're like, we've got a story, we're going to tell it, and then we're going to be done.
Yeah.
I appreciate the hell out of that.
100%. What else we got? No. Kind of talked about that. Oh, yeah, I wanted to ask you about this because speculation abound. Because, we'll rope all this in together. First of all, we got an official announcement from Warner Brothers, who, when news comes out of that hellhole right now, or at least that's what it's looking like, it gets me worried because, you know, they've been canceled more animation stuff. It looks like they're trying to kill Cartoon Network. I don't know if that's the case, but, you know, it's seeming, yeah, you shut down Boomerang, now you're shutting down Cartoon Network's website, all these cost-saving measures, and then you dropped an entirely fully finished animated movie from one of the people who made Cartoon Network what it is. Point being, what was I saying? Yes, Warner Brothers announced that Nightmare on Elm Street is getting a 4K release. The first. How good it will be, I'm hoping they'll put a little effort into it and make it look good, sound good, and maybe a few flourishes and special features that maybe we haven't seen yet, if there are. I heard something, and I don't know what the hell this is. I don't know if you heard this or not. But I keep hearing something about an extended cut of the film. I don't know what that is. But I've heard something about an uncut version being released with this 4K thing.
I know there was some stuff that Craven originally filmed that they like cut down. Craven was always like that though. Like he would always amp it up more, and then they would end up having to cut stuff out because he did not want Freddy to be likable at all.
Yeah.
That's honestly what killed Dream Child. The studio kept cutting things. They kept editing things down. They're like, no, the censors.
But that was at a very
Yeah.
bad time because, I mean, hell, it was around that same time Jason was getting the same treatment.
Yeah.
So.
I've not heard. I knew they were releasing the 4K version. I didn't hear about an extended version, but that really wouldn't surprise me if there was an extended version. But at the same time, sometimes they say it's an extended version and there's only maybe 2 or 3 minutes extra.
I was going to point that out because I think there was, well, use Friday the 13th as a great example. The uncut version of that is just an extended sequence of Pamela getting her head cut off. Like some extra frames of footage of her head and squeezing her hands and then dropping. That's it. It's just more of that.
Yeah.
So we're talking like 10 seconds worth of footage.
Yeah.
So that's all that could be. This uncut version could be restoring maybe 3 or 4 seconds of gore, just a little tidbits of things that they were just like, well, you can't show it for 5 seconds, but we'll give you 3. But 5 is just too much.
And who knows?
You know,
there were scenes
shit like that.
I mean, there were scenes that they cut that would change everything if they added them. There's a scene in there where you find out that Nancy had an older brother.
Mm-hmm.
And he got killed, and that a bunch of other kids got killed already on Elm Street. It's the scene where they're down in the basement, and her mom shows her the glove, and is like, "Mommy killed him, and she took his glove. He can't hurt you. He can't hurt anybody." Like, there's an extended version of that where it's sort of the same thing. She still shows her the glove and everything, but she talks about how she had a brother and, you know, and all that. Or I think it was a brother or like a sister, but she had a sibling. And a bunch of other kids on Elm Street also got killed. I mean, that would change the film a lot, but I mean, I guess that would be an extended scene. And I think, you know, having a few little extra minutes of Freddy here and there might not be bad, but then again, their extended scene might be, here's all the kids eating lunch at school together. You know, it could be something as small as that. I hope that when they do it in 4K, they do it right. I have it in like regular HD. I have it in, you know, I bought the Blu-ray box set when it came out, and it was fixed up and everything. But I've noticed with some of these older movies, when you put them in, you watch them, it almost, in the really dark scenes when they fix them, sometimes it looks like the old TV static. Like you get little grains of white in there. And
yeah.
I hate that. Like that takes away from it for me. Like I'd rather just have it dark. A buddy of mine a few years back called me one day, and he was like, "Hey, what are you doing this night?" "Nothing. Why?" "You're going with me somewhere." "Okay." Get in the car. We go grab a bite to eat. Go to the movie theater. I'm like, "What are we doing here?" They were showing A Nightmare on Elm Street. They were showing the original one. And I'd never seen it on the big screen, so got to go see it on the big screen. It wasn't cleaned up or anything. It was still the original version that they played. But seeing it on the big screen, I was fine with it. I was happy with it. I'm all for making things look better and, you know, making it clearer to see, but don't do it so much that it starts to take away from the movie for me. Because if it takes away from the movie, then you've just done a cash grab, and you're taking away from the joy of it. That's where I kind of have a love-hate thing with Star Wars. I know George Lucas always used to think, I can re-release the films, I can change things, I can make it better, I can make it how I envisioned it. And that's okay. I mean, I get that. But at the same time, if you still enjoy watching the originals, watch the originals. I mean, if I remember right, there's a version of the originals where Jabba is just a really big guy. He's not even the slug, you know? And then we get the puppet, and then they re-released it, and it was the CGI, and then they I think re-released it again, and they made the CGI better. They like refined it. And I get that. Like, it's a process, but don't, you know, there's nothing that you need to change that much with Freddy or with Nightmare on Elm Street. And if you're gonna, you know, it'd be the same with Jason. If they try to clean it up too much and it starts looking grainy and weird, yeah, I'm not interested in that point. I think they need to. I wish they would have done a box set. But I know what they'll probably do is they'll release the first one, see how it sells. If it sells good, then they'll release the others. And then after they do all that, then they'll release a box set. If they're listening, give us Freddy's Nightmares.
I'm honestly surprised we didn't get this from Shout.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This seemed like it would have been in their wheelhouse, doing a whole box set. And, they've done Halloween in 4K. Chucky's been in 4K. I can't wait until we get Jason in 4K. And then, they want to do this in 4K. I would love it. The whole set, the whole kit and caboodle.
Well, and see, I think part of the problem is too, right now, is the Freddy stuff is still really up in the air right now. The last I knew, so Wes Craven's estate owns the rights to Freddy. Again, they own the rights to the character. Warner Brothers, it'd be New Line, Warner Brothers, because New Line is owned by Warner Brothers now. They still own like the international rights. So there's a lot of negotiation going on. And I think that's slowed down a lot of Nightmare on Elm Street stuff. Especially with like merchandise and things like that. When we went to Spirit, I saw Friday the 13th stuff everywhere. I saw, Halloween, Chucky stuff, a bunch of the big slashers. I saw all of that. I maybe found they had like the Freddy costumes and stuff, but like collectibles and stuff. I think I maybe saw a little plushie that I already have and maybe a cup. When several years ago, there was just as much, if not more, of the Freddy stuff because it was mainly like Freddy and Jason. And here's your stuff. Walmart right now has a really cool Friday the 13th Hawaiian shirt. I would kill for a Freddy one, but they don't have one. And I think a lot of it has to do with the licensing stuff. I think that's what's really hurting it because everybody wants to get their own cash out of it. They, want to make money off of it. And it's one of those, well, I don't want to do 50-50. I want you to get 49.9 and I want the rest. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I can see that.
What else you got?
Well, back on the, based on what we were talking about with that 4K release, again, we don't have any proof of this, but speculation, perhaps, that this upcoming blowout of the Last Drive-In episode, the Night Marathon, they do seem to have Nightmare on Elm Street on their platform this month. So perhaps we could see a Nightmare on Elm Street play on the Last Drive-In. I mean, they've done Halloween, they've done Texas Chainsaw, they've done Hellraiser. It's time. I think it's Freddy's time to shine. And this is supposed to be a 6-film marathon they're doing. They're going old school, so it's going to be from dusk to dawn, or dawn, dusk till dawn. There we go. That kind of marathon. Could we see all the Freddy movies? I don't know. We're not saying no. We don't know. But there's speculation.
Only bad thing about that.
Okay.
And I hate to be this guy.
Okay.
And maybe they would do like a one-off. We would get the original 6. But there would be one movie that would get shit on. We wouldn't get New Nightmare.
Not necessarily. They could remove one of the other ones.
True.
And just be like, we want this one, not that one.
Only thing that like would irritate me in regards to that, like you could do without Freddy's Dead. It's it's good for what it is. It's not the best movie, but it's good for what it is. It's got Robert Englund's favorite kill out of all the films in it too. You could remove that one if you wanted to, or you could remove the second one because that seems to be the one that just people don't gravitate toward. But I would feel bad if they remove the second one because I feel like the second one.
I feel like there's a lot to talk about with that.
Yeah.
And he could, I mean, you telling me that they couldn't get Mark Patton on there to interview? And because if they're doing an all-nighter like that, I want to see some guests pop up because that's an event. So let's see some Mark Pattons. Let's see some Heather Langenkamp. But again, we're speculating. We're speculating. We don't know what the fuck the movies are going to be. It's called Night Marathon. So,
Right.
Think about it.
You know what would be great? They do it. We get about halfway through, and you just hear a voice out of nowhere say, "Are you getting sleepy?" And Robert Englund comes out, and he joins them. That would be epic. John, if you're listening, and you're going to be there, because I know you do the music. If Robert Englund's there, just tell him Lester says hi. Or Steven, just as long as you say one of us says hi.
Yeah.
Or just call me, and I'll figure out a way to get there.
Mm-hmm. But for whatever it is, we don't know what the films are. August 30th, so Labor Day weekend. So you can enjoy that all night long if you want. I don't think I'll make it. I'll try to at least go through for a few, but I don't see myself staying up all night watching movies. I don't have it in me anymore, man. I'm just not as spry as I used to be.
If I could sleep in and not have to go to work the next day, I could probably do it, but man, I really do hope, because I know a lot about Nightmare on Elm Street. I would say I know a pretty decent amount. I probably know about as much about Nightmare on Elm Street as you know about Friday the 13th, I'd say.
Yeah.
And the thing that I love about The Last Drive-In is just when you think you know everything about a film, Joe Bob Briggs goes completely into, he goes out in left field and he says something that you don't think has anything to do with it. But then he connects the dots. He's great at that. So I'm sure there are some things that I would probably learn that I don't know, and I would love that, because it just I get so excited about the films, and it's been a minute since I've watched them. Like, when's the last time you watched Friday the 13th? Let me ask you that real quick.
I don't know.
It's been a while, right?
Yeah, but I feel like I've watched it enough times that
Yeah.
I've seen it.
And that's my thing. Like, it's been a while since I've watched any of the Nightmare on Elm Streets. Like, it's been a minute. Not gonna lie, it's been a minute. But I've seen them enough to where I still, like, I'm comfortable in what I know about them and what I enjoy about them. But if there were if there were other reasons to watch them other than just that I want to, yeah, I would use that as an excuse. Like, oh, it's on The Last Drive-In, I need to watch.
Sure, yeah. I mean, right now it would not be the ideal time to watch said movie. Granted, if you're just one of those people who could watch something over and over. I used to be that way. I used to watch movies all the time, over and over and over, wore them out. And I can do that when it's fresh. But at some point in time, I like to let stuff sit.
Right.
And I want to come back to it and just be like, oh, man, I haven't even watched... I've got it sitting on my shelf, okay, and I have not watched it again, which speaks volumes of the movie, I think, much as I hate to say it. But I do want to watch it again just to... In the last Indiana Jones film.
Yeah.
I have it. I've not watched it since. I've only watched it one time. And I don't know, I feel like I'm going to pop it in and just be like, God damn it. And just be angry or something like that watching it again. And I wasn't angry. I don't know what I was. I think that's why I've just waited, and I want to come back to it with fresh eyes and just be like, what is this movie? What is this thing? You know what? Maybe it's not that bad. Or, God damn it, it still is bad. Whatever it may be. I don't know.
You know, you find what you love, you find what you hate, I think, in every movie. Just about,
yeah.
you know.
We had some sad news this week, or this past week. Charles Cyphers, who everybody might know as Chief or Sheriff Brackett from Halloween, passed away at the ripe old age of 85. I think he had a good run at 85. You know, it's not bad.
He was in this last trilogy, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
I thought so. Because he was one of the people with the Evil Dies Tonight.
Yeah, Evil Dies Tonight. Guess what's coming back, baby? You were talking about fall time. Guess what's back? The monsters. Monster cereals are coming back, baby. In fact, we've got Monsters Frightful Friends, which is a brand new one they've got on the shelves this year, where they're bringing their Choco spiders and their Frankenberry bats and their Boo cats and some snake girl. Who the fuck is she?
We still need the yummy mummy. I think we've had this conversation. We still need the yummy mummy.
We do. Carmela Creeper with Scratch the Snake. Ha, 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 ha. Okay.
Which one's your
favorite?
favorite?
They all have names.
Which one's your favorite one to eat, though?
See, I always bounce between Frankenberry and Booberry for whatever reason. And I feel like I always lean toward Booberry because it felt more rare for some reason. Like you always saw Count Chocula, and Frankenberry was always kind of there. Booberry always felt like it was the rare one, the odd one out.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I always liked it more, because it was like, oh yeah, it's the blue one.
I always felt like he was
the blue one.
I always felt like he was like a New Orleans jazz singer or something. Like he had that cool guy vibe, like real just smooth, cool guy vibe. I don't know why.
It's the hat.
I think that is what it is.
And his little bow tie. I'm a spry little ghost bear. I'm Boo Man, Booberry, you see? Doing my I don't know. I can't even think about what he sounds like on the cartoons and whatnot, because
as weird as it sounds,
obviously looking at Count Chocula, I've just got a vision of what his voice would be.
I just hear bleh.
I'm sure I'm wrong. Yeah, bleh, chocolate, bleh.
For some reason, I feel like Booberry would sound like CeeLo Green. I don't know why. I don't know why.
You're gonna have some of my Booberry? Come on in here.
I don't know why.
That may have come off a little wrong, but he does. He talks like this. He's got one of these. When he sings, I was listening to this song that he sung the other day. It was that song he did in the Elvis movie with Eminem, and it sounds like he's squeezing his I don't know what it is. It just sounds like he's trying to squeeze the words out of his throat, and he's like, I'll try to get it again. CeeLo Green, baby. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just throwing it out there. It's what he sounds like.
Holy shit.
A squeak toy.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, what else we got here? I'm looking.
I'm still just laughing, so you're good. Oh, my God. That was great.
Yeah, the Babadook's coming back to theaters for its 10th anniversary.
You know,
I guess that's kind of cool.
I hate to sound like this, but I think I'd pass seeing it in the theater. Like, I like it for what it is, but I don't think I'd want to pay to sit there and watch it.
It's understandable.
That movie was great about not seeing the creature, though. Like,
yeah.
To me, the Babadook is almost like He's like the Jaws of slashers.
I agree with that.
So
Here was one. Lily Sullivan, who you may remember we last saw her, or at least last I saw her, was in Evil Dead Rise. She was the main sister, the girl that was saving the day. I don't remember her character name in that movie.
I don't either.
She's apparently joined the Megan spinoff Soulmate. To what degree, I don't know. Maybe she'll be the main character in that one. I don't know.
Speaking of Evil Dead, the actress who played the main Deadite in the newest one, I saw a video of her, and she was hanging out with the two heroes from Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, okay. And I keep hearing rumors, and I really hope it's true. I keep hearing rumors that they want to do a animated series. Like they're really pushing at it. Are you going to talk about that?
Yes, I do have news updates on that. Bruce Campbell has officially announced that there are 2 movies in the works currently with 2 different directors doing their own things, and they are working on an animated series, and he is going to return as Ash in the animated series. So, it will be a continuation of Ash vs. Evil Dead.
That's if people are so against somebody else playing Freddy as well, why not just do an animated series?
Yeah, I mean, animation's come a long way. I mean, people will give it a chance. You can do so much more with it.
And it's a way to let these older actors like rest a little bit, but still put on one hell of a show. Might be kind of hard finding a voice actor for Jason, though. We'll figure it out.
Sure.
We'll have CeeLo Green do it.
Oh, fuck that guy. Anyway, I got no qualms with the man. Or do I? I
just
don't know.
hearing him as like just Jason there with his machete talking about killing you or something.
You come on back here, you squeaky ass.
You almost make him. He almost sounds like a higher pitched version of. Oh God, I can't think of his name. The hormone monster, but the older one.
Oh, you talking about, come on, baby. I can't remember his name. You come on back here. I'm going to take you, and you're going to take all the dreams now. We're going to do it, and then all the dirty ones, and you just put the sting and the stink and the put and the smell it. That sounds so good.
Anyway. Peter Stormare is coming back, reprising his role from the game Until Dawn. He's playing the character from Until Dawn that he played in the game in the movie version of the game.
Okay, I can get behind that. That's cool.
Yeah, he's a solid actor. Why would you replace him? In fact, why not? Well, ages. They may have aged out of the roles, so you probably can't get the same actors back for the kids. But he was already a guy, so that works, I think.
Well, and the way Hollywood is, a lot of those performers might be still young enough to be sort of convincing. I mean, you never know.
True. One of the biggest and most exciting. I want to be excited for this because it has potential, but I'm also kind of weary because it could just ruin a good thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you have a one good one, and you're just like, if we just leave it there, everyone could always say that's solid, and we don't have a franchise that's ruined with bad sequels. And I'm not saying it's going to be a bad sequel. I'm just concerned, but I'm excited all the same. Alexandre, what is his name? Alexandre Aja. He's directed a few known horror films. But the one specifically of his that I love, that I've talked about on the show before, Crawl, is getting a sequel.
He is going to
return. So I want it to be good. I'm hoping they've really thought this through before just jumping in. It's been a while. Okay, I mean, we can admit that. It's been a while since Crawl 1 came out. So maybe that gave them enough time to come up with a solid idea to do a sequel, because I just don't want it to be, a flash in the pan like, oh man, that movie did really well, we got to do this again and crank out something. It's been a minute. So hopefully we get a solid follow-up, a solid sequel. I don't really know if I care whether or not we follow the same girl. You know what I mean? Because I felt like her story was kind of told, so I could go with following a different group of people. I don't think that would bother me.
I think it would be cool. Just it could be a cool little Easter egg, and it could be something they could do. If it was the same storm and they followed another group of people, and then maybe at the end of it, maybe we see like that girl, maybe they're at like the same hospital or whatever. That way there's at least like a nod to the original cast. I think that would be like, I would be okay with that. That would be cool. But I agree with you too. I think that story for her and her dad and everything, I think that story's done. Yeah,
I don't see any reason to put her and her father back into that situation. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like they were in a situation that requires them to come back.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I definitely agree with you there.
I might be out of news, surprisingly, but let me check one last. No, that was it. So unless something else slipped through that I've forgotten, that's all the news I got.
There's nothing I can think of. Then again, I couldn't think of anything a minute ago, so... Well?
Yeah, I think that's covers our news for this week, and nothing new is popped up in the last hour, so I think we're tapped out.
Well, that works for me. I mean... These episodes where we come back are just our way of kind of touching base and everything. We've been gone for a minute. I hope the fans are eager to come back and listen. I know our recording schedule is going to be a little wonky for a while. I figured I'd say something now, that way the fans hear, but we should still be pumping out content at a relatively good rate, I would say. I don't think we're going to have too many problems, but...
No, we had a few speed bumps, unexpected, and, just trying to get our boat back on track, that's all.
We just need our own show on Shudder. That's what we need. Then we can just do this all the time. And that would be great.
It'd be fantastic.
Well, if you don't have anything else, and I know I don't, you want to tell all the wonderful ramblers out there where to find us and listen in, by all means.
Obviously. If there's anything that we happen to miss over our extended break that we didn't talk about that you want to hear our opinions on, let us know on social media at Horror Ramblings. We're all over the place. Just look us up at Horror Ramblings. If you've got more to say, a tweet's just not going to cover it. Send us an email at horrorramblings@gmail.com. If you want to discuss horror with other people just like you, join our Facebook group or join us on Discord. You can even find us on Instagram or TikTok. You can support us over on Patreon. You can leave a 5-star review on your favorite podcasting app. Tell your friends to find us on there as well. And if you're on Spotify, see if we posted any questions and polls. Let us know what you think. Don't forget, Fangoria. You can use the code Pencil Paper Productions at checkout for 20% off your order. And finally, Central Hub for everything, pencilpaperproductions.com/horror-ramblings. Links are in the show notes down below.
And remember, guys, stay spooky out there.
This has been the Horror Ramblings podcast. Join us next time for even more.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.